On today's episode of the Pathways to Wellbeing podcast, we are joined by Jennifer Regular, a passionate woman and a true advocate for authentic living and spiritual wellness. We will dive deep into how being true to ourselves can transform our lives, leading to greater happiness, fulfillment, and the ability to touch others profoundly. Jennifer will share her journey, her insights on overcoming life's challenges, and the importance of soul care in maintaining our well-being. Remember, as Jennifer would say, faith is finding answers in the heart. So let's explore these concepts together. Are you enjoying today's episode? And if you would like to help out Sacred You, please hit the subscribe button, give us a like, or check us out at www.sacredyou, that's the letter U, .love for more valuable resources. Have a beautiful day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pathways to Wellbeing podcast. My name is Helen Prince. I'm here on behalf of Sacred You, and it's my pleasure to introduce you today to Jennifer Regular. Jennifer, welcome. Thank you for being here with us.
Oh, thank you so much, Helen. It's really a joy and a pleasure to be here with you.
Great. Now, Jennifer, you have got lots of expertise in lots of different areas. I think the common theme is about being true to yourself, being authentic, having that general well-being in who we are. And that's how people, if we can walk through life as ourselves, then I think our life is going to be happier, it's going to be more enriched, it's going to be fulfilled. We're going to be able to touch a lot more people. So I'm really excited to talk to you about, first of all, let's rewind a little bit. How did you get into this area?
Because I was in the thick of it for many years myself in terms of being out of alignment and being out of my ability to self-express, always just getting into the anxiety-ridden way of responding to life and other people, the fight, the flight, the fawn, the freeze, did it all, still do it from time to time. But really always looking at making other people happy, making sure that they're okay, that I can have some impact and make a difference in their life. If they're happier, if I please them, if they can accept me in some way. Not really paying attention to the impact and difference it was making in my own life when I did that. Compassion fatigue, burnout, overwhelm, adrenaline fatigue, where I couldn't move for a while. It was just like impossible. And it's almost like you stop functioning because you're not functioning in the truth of who you truly are. And what I found was when I wasn't engaging in that soul care, the self-care, then you really notice it. You notice the increased resentments, conflict, numbness, depression, anxiety, reacting to life instead of actually embodying it. So I find that any time that we're not in alignment with who we truly are, then other things come out of alignment, physically, mentally, emotionally, and especially spiritually. It becomes very constricted, restricted, there's tension, there's, like I say, lack of functioning in some way, or a malfunctioning, if you maladaptive coping strategies and so on. And so I got really curious about how to bring self-care to a new level that really spoke to the soul. Because what I found also, two things. One is that balance really comes from living our truth. And if we're not living our truth, it throws everything out of balance. Those misalignments occur. So I was looking for ways, especially when I was more in my career field in social services, finding ways that I can engage in self-care and soul care to sustain my well-being on all levels, mentally, physically, and emotionally. And then spiritually, how do I take care of that? How do I find that joy and peace and contentment and serve a higher purpose and really recognize who I am and what I'm here to do? And so I really delved into that. I also learned very early on that I was an empath, someone who's highly sensitive, but on the spectrum of absorbing things 24/7. So how do I cope with that? How do I deal with that? So learning those kind of boundaries too. So it's really a quest to see how I can take care of myself, how I can continue to function, sustain myself, maintain my momentum, because I really did want to make a difference. I want to have high impact. I want to serve a higher purpose or ways, because path is not linear. There's lots of ways to do that. And so I started investigating that and finding it for myself. And then once I found what worked, I got so excited and wanted to share it with the world as well. And I'm obviously very passionate about this. And even the way I see passion comes back to our soul's expression, because when you break up the word, it's pass I on. And that I is your soul's expression of what you're here to pass on in this lifetime. But we spend so much time.
I've never heard it like.
Thank you. Yeah, and yet we spend so much time trying to figure things out or do things the right way, or taking the next class to learn the next method or framework or mindset and all of the things, when it's already all of it available to us. But when we're not resourced enough, then we can't resource ourselves into other people. So to actually be ourselves, we first need to recover ourselves. So all of it comes back to the self. And so I can go on and on, but I'll roll it over to you to see if there's questions or other things you want me to dive deeper into. But you can see how passionate I am about this topic.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people are going to resonate with your story, because so many women, it's built into us to want, it's our maternal instinct to nurture and to love and to help and to support. And when that comes out of balance, like what you were saying, we're giving too much of us outwardly without replenishing that cup. So I think a lot of people are going to really resonate with what you're saying, because people pleasing is, I think, one of the biggest problems that a lot of women have. And then, like you said, that leads to the resentments. You feel angry, bitter, unappreciated, hurt, all of the things that then even depletes you even more, and you end up with some sort of dis-ease within your body, because we're one being, right? We're not all separate. Everything we do is connected to everything. So what did you do then? So you went through the struggle and you realized there was something else. Was there a turning point for you? And was there something, if you can recall, what was the first thing that you realized that you had to do to make, because where you were and where you are, there's a big chasm there. I just want to, what was that turning point? What was that thing that you realized or did to take that first step?
Yeah, there's many defining moments, but there was a real turning point, which really delved me into the healing arts, for example, was when, after I left my husband, which is a whole other story on its own. Actually, I think it's on one of the Shining Light videos, that whole thing about remembering who I am, putting all my pieces back together. Once I left, I had discovered this Wise Woman weekend. And it was actually the anniversary weekend, what would have been the anniversary of the marriage. So it was really interesting to go to this. And I was in the line, and that was where I was wanting to see what can fill me up. There were some energy workers there. There were classes. There were some ceremony. There was a lot that was on offer for this week. And I thought, that's the perfect place for me to be right now. I remember how it showed up for me. It just did. And I said yes to that. And I went. And I was standing in the lunch line, because it was a weekend. So we was a place to stay and have meals and so on. And I was standing in line, and someone in front of me was sharing about what she did to someone who was interested in what she did. And she was talking about integrated energy therapy. And she was talking about getting the issues out of your tissues for good. And I'm like, wow, that sounds so good, because I was very well known as a counselor at the time and the go-to person when anyone else was in crisis and going through a rough time. And I didn't really feel like I had that person to go to share. I was really disconnected, to be honest, about myself emotionally and how to name my feelings and just detaching them or bypassing them and just moving on. I was really good at just moving on and didn't really deal with the feelings and emotions. I'm like, that sounds perfect. I don't have to talk to anybody. I just lie on the table and they'll take it out. It worked right from cellular memory. And it did. I felt so amazing afterwards. And that was after one session. It was just a demo session. So I booked another. And then the practitioner suggested that I even take the course and become trained in it and certified in it myself. And so I did. And like I was saying earlier, once I learned something, and that works for me, I just have to share it. So I started my own practice in that, became a master integrated energy therapist and was doing those sessions in person and online, like distance as well. Started training other people in it too. And yeah, it's like releasing all the drama and trauma, all the drama without the trauma. And I love the little slogans that they use because it really worked from the cellular memory areas of our body, those emotions that correlated with it. And I just loved the way that everything was connected. And so that was a real turning point for me, discovering that. And then that led me on my whole path of the healing arts and shamanic apprenticeship as well. And shamanism really delves into deep soul work. So it's not so much the energy work, but deep soul work. And I would receive and give soul retrieval, soul remembrances, and bringing people's power, spiritual power back to them, and that sort of work. So it was always a receiving and then a giving back and learning, and then kept cycling through that for many years, going beyond that. So that's what supported it. And then I think I've always actually been interested in personal development, self-discovery. So there was always something new that I was discovering about myself or questioning or looking up, or things that would just come to me. So that's why I said there's a lot, but that was a major turning point. That's what got me into the whole way of learning how to manage energy and how important that is to our like spiritual hygiene, to our well-being, to our self-care, is that managing our energy and how much is affected in our energy field, right? Because everything starts that way. It starts far out in our spiritual layer, affects our mental layer, our emotional layer. And if it's not properly dealt with, it creates blocks physically, right? So it really matters how we engage in spiritual wellness. And for me, knowing that we're spiritual beings having a human experience, doesn't it make sense then to focus on spiritual wellness first and foremost? And so that realization also was a defining moment for me. And here's what I'd like to ask the audience. And for you, Helen, this is something I was just thinking about recently, actually. What is flow without the F? Low. So when we're feeling low and we have low energy, then we're not in the flow. But what's the F that we're missing then? So this is a fun little game. What's the F that we're missing? Fun. Are we missing fun in our life? Are we missing, freedom? We don't have the autonomy, the freedom, the independence. We might feel that constriction, the restriction that I spoke of earlier. We're not in the world. What about fortitude? That strength, feeling strong, resilience. So fortitude, fun, freedom. What other F's can you think of? Fulfillment. Fulfillment, that's a really big one, because often, and this is what happens in self-care, is that we're feeding some sort of deficiency need. We're not eating, sleeping properly, or getting enough exercise, or we're taking care of finances and home and basic needs, right? Really physiological basic needs. And when we're operating from that deficiency, we're trying to fill some kind of void. So instead of filling the void, why not focus more on fulfillment, that experience of fulfillment? What would be fulfilling for us? Because then we move into the growth zone and taking care of our growth needs when we move into that kind of mindset or way of thinking, or that pathway to being, right? Is instead of filling a void, to actually find fulfillment.
That's right.
What F is missing even.
We don't, like, if you look at it even from an energetic, scientific perspective, there can't be a void. Energy is everywhere. There is you can't have a void. So what you can do is focus on what you want And this is the law of attraction, like attracts like, that sort of thing. The more that you focus on that, and yeah, that thing's over there, but whatever, doesn't matter, that's over there. You don't want that in your reality. So it's looking at, okay, what do I want in my reality? How do I want my life to look? And I think there was something that you said a little way back there. You've always been interested in that personal development. So it's like, you don't have to be a big personal development junkie. You just, all you need is to want more for your life. That's
yes.
That's
right.
all you have to know is, I want more for my life, because we are all put on this earth to be happy and to have fun.
Yes.
Life is meant to be fun. Life is meant to be easy, despite what you may have heard. It's meant to be fun and easy. And that, I think, is the only thing you have to know. If you're feeling lost, if you're feeling disconnected, or just not happy with how your life is, the only thing you have to know is that you want more. And then be open to that. You said as well that, you know, things just came into your life and you said yes. You said yes to those things. So be open, say yes. You don't have to understand stuff. All you have to know is you want to be happy. And then that opens the next door. And I think it's a beautiful way to live it. And that is living in that flow. It's just allowing yourself to be swept away down the stream, knowing that it's all good, it's all working out. You don't have to know what's coming up, just having that belief that everything's going to be okay. So I love that, the F and the low. So what's missing? All of that flow, all of that fun, the fulfillment. And that's the stuff that really sustains us. And when we have that,
absolutely,
we're happy.
And we're in the flow.
We're in the flow. We're in the flow. And what I love about this as well is, we are such, when I say we, women, I talk women, but of course men are as well. We want other people to be happy. We want them to feel good, but we can't do that for them. But what we can do is be that role model. We can show them that there is a different way. And so talk to me about, because one of the things that you also do is, because it's not just about the one person. We start with the one person. We start with us, because that's all we actually ever have control of, is how we feel, what we think, how we react, respond, all of those things, what we don't do. That's all we ever have control over. But talk to me about how that creates the ripple, and how that then becomes the broader thing across humanity, and how we can actually uplift and change the world with that one.
Absolutely. So I just want to add one more F to our little list there, and which is faith.
Yes.
Right? Faith. Because when you spoke about belief, it also reminded me of being like a conviction, and having the mindset, and also having faith. And faith can be an acronym to finding answers in the heart.
Ah, nice.
Yeah. And so that's faith as well. And so when we're finding answers in the heart, when we can stay internal and face externally, we have so much resources within ourselves. And this is leading into the answer to your question. And so much power that we can gather there. And we also realize that we can connect heart to heart. And when that heart is open and it's wide and it's full, then we can radiate that love, which is lots of vital energy. I love my acronyms. The vital energy.
Good one.
We radiate light, which another acronym is living in God's highest truth. And that love and that light, that's radiating. Okay. And let's just talk about the opposite for a minute. Because when you're feeling miserable and suffering and feeling hurt or angry or depressed, how do you think the people around you will feel?
Yeah.
Probably quite similar to that.
Pick up on each other's energies. We really feed off them.
Absolutely. And so already we can see how our energy and those vibes that we're giving off can impact those around us. And likewise, if we're feeling vibrant and vital and have that lots of vital energy. We're feeling the love, we're feeling the joy, we're feeling the contentment, we're feeling peace, whatever it might be that you want to feel and build up and cultivate and foster in yourself, that authenticity. How do you think the people around you are going to feel?
Yeah, exactly. We all know what it feels like to walk into a room where there's heavy energy, and it's like, okay, where's the door? And when we walk into a room where there's that light energy, it's let me in. I want to be part of this.
Yeah. So going back to our authenticity and finding answers in the heart and some of the other ways of thinking and tips we shared about coming back inside, then those alignments, then we are in harmony with ourselves. And when we're in harmony and we're singing our soul song, our heart song, then that creates this melody. This creates an entrainment with all of humanity. It touches upon our common humanity. And without even really doing anything, we start co-creating global harmony, because that impacts thousands fold, right? I don't know if anyone's heard of the 100th monkey rule. Have you heard of that, Helen?
Yes, I do know that story, but remind us in case anyone else doesn't know it as well.
And I might be skimming over some of the details here, but this is what I remember. It'll still give the points.
Yeah.
So one monkey's doing something and then others start, and for some reason, this magical number, by the time the 100th monkey is doing the thing, mimicking what everyone else is doing, the same similar thing, it's almost like it reflects on the other end of the world. And those monkeys start doing the same thing right away. So there's real magic in numbers. Sure, one person can have that ripple effect, but we notice in that 100th monkey that there's so much power that was fostered and cultivated in doing the one thing that it had an impact on the other end of the world and around the world. And people just automatically started doing that. That's how powerful global meditations are. And any kind of impact that we're having, especially when we're doing it as a team, and then those circles join other circles and we continue on having that kind of effect, that's how we raise the vibration of the planet. That's how we uplift humanity. And this is how we co-create global harmony.
That's like the ionosphere they talk about. There's a certain however many thousands of meters or whatever it is above the earth. It's where they put all the satellites, because they know at that height everything goes up and it bounces back. So when we're sending out that energy that is love, that is light, we're sending that out and it is bouncing back down and across the other side of the world or wherever it is. And that's what I always like to remember as well. If I'm feeling bad for someone, feeling bad for them is not actually going to help them. I'm sending up bad energy and sadness back down.
Yeah.
Whereas I want to uplift them. I want to make them feel better. And the way that I can do that is by feeling good and sending out that energy.
Yes. And this is why I've become a big advocate for not so much our individual missions anymore, but our collective mission and coming together for a collective transformation, because we need all of these light forces right now to come together and strengthen that life force and light force energy to counteract or rise above and be even more powerful than the forces of darkness and division and uncommon humanity and all the things that seek to separate and isolate and discriminate, rather than appreciate and to elevate and to value and to respect and have reverence for. Because again, like what we focus on really grows, it expands, right? Yeah. And so to keep that expanded view on the impact we're actually having through our thoughts, through our behaviors, our actions, and making sure that they are aligned with our true being, who we truly are, so we don't have those imbalances or misalignments that can wreak havoc, really, in that dis-ease all the way around, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually.
Absolutely. I mean, we're attracting something, we're focused on something, so Focus on what we want, not what we don't want. Because
let's leverage our
that's
common
how
humanity.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Leverage
I love
love,
that.
leverage our, that's right. Yeah.
That's beautiful. So if anyone is feeling like you can't separate, but they've come away from who they are, they're a little bit lost and want to come back to their true authentic self, because their true authentic self is pure love. That's how we come into this world. We are these beautiful bundles of love and joy. And then life happens and it gets we get piled on.
Gets
if
lifey.
Somebody has
I heard someone else say that recently. Life gets lifey.
Exactly. And life is always going to happen. However, the more that we can come back to who we truly are, which is that resilient, beautiful love and light, the easier life is going to be. And when life does happen, it's not going to take you down that deep, dark hole. There's always going to be ups and downs. That's okay. That's how we grow. That's how we learn. That's how we discover new things. But it doesn't have to be these extreme highs and lows either. It can be this nice little wave. So if people are finding, they're watching this and they're thinking, yeah, you know what? I want to come back to who I am. I want to be my authentic self. I want to be able to stand in my truth. How can you help them do that? What do you offer that could help them to do that?
Two things I can tell you right now, and you mentioned this earlier, is saying yes to yourself, saying yes to joy and what's fun and fulfilling and all of that. And I can share a 20-second practice you can do. And it's a brain gym exercise, and it's actually a reset. It rebalances your left and right sides of your brain. And it's actually very calming, and it doesn't take long at all. And so just notice how you're feeling before you do it. And then you start with taking your right hand over the top of your head, your crown. And you have it there for about 10 seconds. And I usually say if you take a full inhale and then exhale, that's usually about 10 seconds, 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. So you can do that. And then switch. Now your other hand's over, and you can do the same thing, just having it there for 10 seconds. And then let your hands come down. Just check in again. Notice how you're feeling, if it's any different at all. Then you can open your eyes, and that's how much power you have in your hands, in your own energy, to calm yourself and to rebalance your brain. And you can add to that if you wanted to while you're breathing. You can make that a real conscious breath. You can count if you prefer. You can visualize something. You can also include an affirmation if you wish, as you're doing that. And that makes it even more powerful. Your other hand that's not on the top of your head, maybe you have it over your solar plexus, connecting with your power center as well. And so that's a wonderful way that I can offer right now to do that. My services, if you want to know more about that, or where to follow me on social, or come to my live events and different virtual retreats that I have, and some online courses, that's all available on my website, which is lightingthepath.ca. And if you're into leadership and conscious leadership, I just started a group on LinkedIn as well, the Conscious Leaders Collective. And it's really combining authentic leadership and compassion and taking care of ourselves as we serve others and working together towards collective transformation. So if that's of interest, you can find that there. And sacredyou.love has so many beautiful tribes that you can join and be a part of community. So that is something I would recommend as well. I also contribute to the blog at Sacred You and have my own inspired living blog as well. So check out some articles if you just wanted to start there and seek out some inspiration and motivation and some tips that you can find there too about taking care of yourself and finding those pathways to win.
Absolutely. And I think this is what I love about, I just love about the world, is that there are so many options and there's so many different paths, and there will always be something that you resonate with. And that little exercise that you did, Jennifer, that was so simple, but so effective.
Oh,
and,
wonderful.
you know, all of these little things that, you know, that we can do that gets us to coming back to that calm, coming back to being in that flow, the easier life is. And I think you have just you've got a beautiful, calm vibe about you as well. So I think anyone who does resonate with this and is feeling your energy, because I can feel your energy in how, I don't know, it's just beautiful. Reach out to Jennifer and have a chat and just see where it takes you, you know. Start saying yes to things, because opportunities are always presenting themselves to us. We don't always see them. We don't always take them up. But if you're serious about, you know, wanting to change your life up and living how you were designed to live, in that beautiful harmony, in that beautiful love, start saying yes to things. And that in itself is going to open up doors for you. And if you're really resonating with what Jennifer's saying, reach out to Jennifer and have a little bit of a chat.
Yes, I welcome that. And thank you so much, Helen. You've been such a gracious host.
Oh, my pleasure. I've really enjoyed our chat today, Jennifer, and I'm sure we will chat again another day. Thank you so much for being on the Pathways to Wellbeing, and have an amazing day.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in.